Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us on this Wednesday, and welcome to this educational presentation. Now, today, I'd like to talk to you about a very unique candlestick strategy, that actually caught the recent down market. And you'll see that this strategy is extremely powerful, but very simple to apply. And the beauty of it is that you can apply it on our platform, the PTS Primo charting platform. But let me show you some examples of exactly what I'm talking about. For example, let's look at a weekly chart here of IWM. That's the ETF that represents the Russell 2000 index, okay? Carries a lot of stocks in the index. Now, coming into the end of the year, it had been going steadily up, and so everything seemed fine. But right about the end of the year, coming into January, look what happened. We have a sharp downward move. Now, if you're a candlestick trader, this is what you're looking for, because what we've been taught in traditional wisdom with candlestick trading is that you look for reversal patterns that are at the top or the bottom of a trend so that you can get in on the next move, okay? So what do we have right here? We have a bullish engulfing pattern, all right? That's a very positive pattern, one of the easiest and simplest patterns to spot with candlesticks. So that should tell you that you should be a buyer. That's probably the bottom of the trend, and you should jump in and buy. So let's just say you jumped in and bought, or maybe you bought a stock that was in the Russell 2000. You're very excited, you're long, you think it's going to make new highs, and then this happens, right? So you say to yourself, well, maybe I get in a little bit too early, because that was a valid signal. And actually what you find is that there's another signal right here. Here's another bullish engulfing pattern. So you say to yourself, well, you know what? If it didn't work the first time, it's going to work the second time. So let's buy some more, what you call doubling up, okay? So you buy some more, and then this happens, okay? You say to yourself, wow, okay, this isn't working well. This is not working the way I was taught, the way I spent my money on that $10,000 class with candlesticks. Nothing seems to be working properly. Well, here's what we're going to be talking about today. With what I'll be teaching you, two very powerful components, two edges, you would have known not to even buy here at all. And in fact, you would have been selling right here, here, and here. So this is what we're going to be talking about, this unique candlestick strategy that actually caught this down market. And the beauty of this is that everything I'm sharing with you today is easily accessible on our platform, the PTS Primo charting platform that makes candlestick trading simple. So thanks for joining me today and welcome. My name is Steven Primo. I'm the president and founder of Specialist Trading. I've been trading now for 45 years. I started my career on the floor of the Pacific Stock Exchange. I was on the floor for 16 years, and 9 of those years, I was a specialist. A specialist doesn't mean you're any more special than anyone else. It just means that if you ever Google those pictures of the trading floors back in the 40s and 50s, and you see the people standing knee deep in paper and making these weird hand signals, well, the traders that were behind those large wooden podiums were the specialists. In other words, they specialized in making a market in roughly about 50 or 60 stocks. So that's what I did. I was a specialist for 9 years. I made markets in IBM, US Air, Waste Management. I traded through the crash of 1987 and the bull market that followed. So I've traded just about every trading system, every trading strategy you can think of, even if it's something that's brand new. Most likely it's been around before, it's just been rebranded. I've traded through straight up markets, straight down markets. So in my 45 years experience of trading, I know what works in terms of consistency, and I know what doesn't work. So that's what we provide here at Specialist Trading and Pro Trader Strategies, my sister site. We provide students around the world with all the tools, techniques, and methods that actually have high levels of consistency so that ultimately you can make your own trading decisions. That's what it's all about. A professional trader does not rely on someone to tell him what to do. He makes his own trading decisions. So that's what our goal is at Specialist Trading. And you'll see that in today's educational presentation. Now, before we begin, we are always required to share this with you. So please take a moment to view our disclaimer. I'm going to show you a lot of performance results using this unique method, but please remember that we can in no way guarantee that any of the results I'm about to share with you will be repeated in the future. Also, please remember that all examples, since we are an educational company, all examples are strictly for educational purposes only. Now, another way to get more education, if you like, on a daily basis is to follow us on Twitter. There's our handle right there. I would suggest copying that down because every day I post anywhere from 4 to 5 different snapshots of strategy signals that have been generated using our methods, or even just little bits of financial wisdom There's lots of great free information on a daily basis, so please feel free to follow us on Twitter. And remember, we are first and foremost an educational company. That means that our only goal is simply to educate you. If you've come here today thinking that I'm going to tell you what my opinion is of the market, if it's going to go up or go down, or what the best stock is to buy, or what the best crypto is to sell, or what the perfect time frame is to make tons of money, you've come to the wrong place. Remember, those are things that most people, and myself included, have been taught that's supposed to make you successful. But if you look at our industry, it's all based on someone telling you what to buy, what to sell, a chat room you're supposed to go to buy or sell, or some blog you're supposed to read, or some guy you're supposed to listen to after the market closes on TV. That's the way things have been constructed, and that really is not successful at all. Trust me, I was taught the same way 45 years ago, that I had to listen to these guys on TV, that I had to listen to someone in a newsletter. We didn't have the internet or blogs then, but it didn't work for me then, and I don't think it's about to work now, because it's been estimated that 85% of all traders fail. So the reason we fail is because we're giving our power away. We're letting someone or something make the decisions for us. Once you start to make your own decisions, once you become in charge of your own trading destiny, that's when you start to become consistent. So that's what we do here. My goal, as you can see, is not to trade for you, not to tell you what stock or market to buy or sell, not to tell you what time frame, and not to tell you what I think of the market, but to teach you so that you can make your own trading decisions, to teach you how to trade with the specialist edge, okay? Now, I see a couple of people here saying they cannot hear. Just want to make sure that the sound is coming through loud and clear. If you can hear, please respond kindly, yes or no. If you're having a difficulty hearing, I see some people are hearing, people are saying yes. Oftentimes, if you cannot hear or see the screen clearly, it's because your own internet connection is slow. So if you're having difficulty, kindly just log off and then log back on again. I see some people are saying yes. I see one person says he cannot hear. But once again, that may be due to your own internet connection or whatever. But once again, just take a second. We have a large crowd here today. I just want to make sure that everyone is hearing. So just answer yes or no, and then I'll see what the majority of the answers are, okay? We'll pause for just about 5 seconds. Okay, well, it seems as if most people are able to hear me clearly, so that's good. With that said, why don't we begin? And then just let me give you a few announcements before we start. Remember, this is a PowerPoint presentation. It's not, even though we're on the Zoom platform, this is not an interactive presentation. So kindly disable all cameras and microphones. That may be your problem if you disabled your microphone, that you also disabled your ability to listen, okay? But please, just disable your cameras and microphones. And this is just, as I said, a PowerPoint educational presentation. Also, I will take your questions at the end. Okay, I have a lot of slides to share with you, but I don't want to stop for every slide. Oftentimes, if you just wait for the next slide, your question will be answered, I should say. So please, if you have a question, let's wait till the very end, okay? And also, if you have some technical issues, don't worry, each and every one of you will be sent a link to this recording, so you'll be able to watch it at your own leisure, even if you can't hear or see clearly. All right, with that said, let's begin today's educational presentation. We're going to be talking about a unique method for trading candlesticks, and that unique method has a title. We call it the candlestick combo. And what this is are two distinct edges that we strongly feel will elevate your odds for consistency by trading candlesticks. All right, so let's start with candlestick edge number 1. And this is what we call strategy number 5. It's a strategy that's based on candlesticks, but it's a non-traditional candlestick method. I can't give you all the rules. It wouldn't be fair. It would be giving away everything to the people who have purchased this. But just to give you some of the highlights, it has the ability to be traded with all candlestick patterns and can be applied to all markets and time frames. So let me show you some examples here. These are older examples of how the setups work. A buy signal was generated here in MasterCard, and you see you had a nice run up in the next 2 days. Or you can get sell signals. A couple of sell signals were generated here in Facebook, an older chart of Facebook. And you see, as Facebook went lower, you were well ahead of the game. But as with all methods, nothing works 100% of the time. For example, we had an older buy signal in Tesla. It met all the requirements of strategy number 5. And then this happened, right? I'm sure we've seen this before. And this is perfectly natural because we all know that nothing works 100% of the time. But is there a way to increase our odds for consistency with strategy number 5? Well, this is where the second component comes in. This is where edge number 2 is, and that's called the PET D. Now, this is a tool I was first introduced to on the floor of the stock exchange. When I first started working, this was something that we used to call the formula because it was something you had to calculate on a calculator, almost on a tick-by-tick basis. The good news is we've taken all the hard work out of it for you, and we developed it into a proprietary algorithm where it's a color bar tool. So what the PET D is a color bar translator, and it basically translates on a tick-by-tick basis what any market wants to do. I mean, think of that edge. You're not listening to some guy on TV or some guy in a chat room. You're listening actually for the first time to the market, the very thing you're trading, and it's translating to you on a tick-by-tick basis what it wants to do. I can't think of a better edge than that. For example, in this older chart of Aetna, we see here that we're clearly in an uptrend. The only trouble is most of us don't find out we're in an uptrend until it's too late, right? And then we're caught and it changed directions too quickly. Now, with the color bar tool, the PET D on our platform, all you have to do is click on the PET D right here, and it automatically changes the colors. Now, if you see a series of green bars, anywhere from 3 to 5, that's telling you you're in a short-term uptrend. If you see a series of red bars, you're in a short-term downtrend. So this is not a predictive tool. It doesn't tell you how high something will go or how low something will go. It doesn't calculate the bottoms or the tops, but it translates better than anything I've traded with in 45 years what the market wants to do. So the beauty is that it tells you which short-term direction you should be trading. And then once you know that direction, you can apply it to confirm any strategy signal or trade any technique. So this is a tremendous edge. Now, let's look at a simple candlestick pattern. Probably the most prominent one, the most simplest to identify. These are engulfing patterns, all right? If you're not familiar with them, let's just give you a brief course in bullish and bearish engulfing patterns. A bullish engulfing pattern is a 2-bar pattern. You have bar number 1 and bar number 2. Now, bar number 1 usually opens and closes lower. Bar number 2 opens and closes higher. Now, what you're looking for is for bar number 2's range, the open to close range, to totally engulf the open to close range of bar number 1. If you see that happening, well, most likely it's going to be headed higher. This is basically a reversal pattern, all right? Now, what we want to do with the candlestick combo is that we're only going to buy engulfing bars, that's bar number 2, if it's colored green. So we're only going to take that as a positive candle pattern if bar number 2 is colored green by the PET D. So what you want to see is an engulfing pattern like this, and then bar number 2 colored or outlined green, the way it is here. Now, if bar number 1 is red, that's okay. All we care about is that bar number 2 is outlined or colored green. This is a high probability up move setup. Okay, this is what's incorporated in the candlestick combo, what we're going to be talking about today. Now, conversely, bearish engulfing patterns are just the opposite 2-bar pattern. Once again, bar number 1 in this case is usually up. It opens and closes higher. Bar number 2 is usually down. It opens and closes lower. But what happens is that the open to close range of bar number 2 engulfs the open to close range of bar number 1. All right. Now, this is a negative sign, but we're going to take it up a notch by applying the candlestick combo. All right. So what we want to do is we're only going to sell if the engulfing bar, that's bar number 2, is colored red. Remember, bar number 1 can be green or red. It makes no difference. But bar number 2 needs to be colored red in order for a candlestick combo setup to appear. So here's a bearish engulfing pattern. Here's what we're looking for. Bar number 2 is colored red. If we see that, that is a high probability down move setup. Not guaranteed, but a very high probability. All right. So let's look at this chart in limited, okay? LMT, I should say Lockheed, I'm sorry. Obviously, the trend is down. Now, here's the way we're always taught to trade candlesticks, myself included, when I first started trading them 40 years ago, all right? They're used as reversal patterns. In other words, if the trend is down, we're looking for some type of bullish pattern. And what do we have here? we have two bullish engulfing patterns. Here's one right here. It engulfs bar number one, bar number two engulfs bar number one, and bar number two engulfs bar number one. So this is what we're always taught. These are very strong, high probability buy setups, right? So let's say we had jumped in right here. Look at what would have happened. How come they didn't work well? Because once again, in my 4 decades of trading candlesticks, I have found that this traditional way of trading them really has no high level of consistency. What you want to do is apply the pet D. And now that we see that bar number 2 was colored red, outlined red, in both instances, we never would have taken those trades. And therefore, we've not lost any money. Now, if the bars are red, we're looking for the opposite. We're looking for bearish engulfing patterns, right? Because bar number 2 needs to be colored red. And what do we find? Well, we have a sell setup right here that we could have gained 40 points potentially if we held on. If we miss that one, here's another one right here. And if we miss that one, here's another one right here. So you see how you automatically increase your odds for consistency by trading in sync with the pet D. This is where the candlestick combo really elevates your trading, by giving you a high probability candlestick method along with the pet D. All right, so let's talk about trading the candlestick combo, okay? And remember, in order to trade it with this ease, with this simplicity, you need the platform, the PTS Primo charting platform that makes candlestick trading simple. So let's look at some examples, some recent combo examples that caught the down market. Most of these are within the last month, some of them in the last couple of weeks, and we'll show you how simple it would have been to catch them. All right, here's an example in ORLY, O'Reilly Automotive, okay? This was just coming in, if we look back here, in June the 8th. So this was just last week, actually, or a week or so ago, a couple of weeks. Doesn't look like anything's happening right here, kind of going sideways, right? This goes against everything we've been taught, that we want to look for reversal patterns, right? But how can you find a reversal pattern in a sideways market? Well, first thing we want to do is see if there's actually a candlestick pattern, strategy number 5 setup. So on our platform, click on strategy number 5. In the drop-down menu, click on signal arrows. Now, even though we teach you what to look for, how to identify it, this is a way to check your work. It's like having me sit right next to you. You can just click on signal arrows and say, hey, I was correct. I properly identified a strategy number 5 signal. But remember, in order to verify this, we need the pet D to color this green, or I should say red, since it's a downward signal. So click on the pet D. And yes, now it doesn't matter if these bars were red or green. It makes no difference. All that we care about is the bar below the arrow. So we had a sell signal right here on the 8th a couple of weeks ago in O'Reilly, 45 points in the next week or so. Not a bad little trade, right? I realize this is an expensive stock, but you could have purchased the puts or some type of spread strategy to the downside. Here's another example in a Charter Communications. Most traders, myself included, before I started trading with a pet D, would have said, hey, we're in an uptrend. Look, we're making higher highs, higher lows. So I only want to be a buyer. You always want to buy in sync with the trend, right? In fact, that's what you say. So if we're in an uptrend here, we want to be a buyer. Unfortunately, most of us are taught, once again, very inconsistent ways in which to identify the trend. This is how powerful the pet D is, because the pet D really tells us, better than anything I've been trading in 4 decades, what the short-term trend is. All right, so let's see if there was a signal here first. Click on strategy 5, click on signal arrows. Guess what? Yeah, there's not a buy signal, there's a sell signal. So what happened with the uptrend? Well, in order to find out, we click on pet D, and we see here that the last 5 bars have been red. So the pet D has been signaling a downtrend, where most people trading Charter thought, well, this is an uptrend. We're making higher highs. We're going steadily higher. This is the beauty of the pet D. And we've got a strategy number 5 signal here. In the next week, the stock fell 75 points. Not a bad little trade once again, right? Let's look at ILMN, Illumina. Okay, Illumina. Now, once again, we are in a downtrend. It's easy to see that, right? But what do we have here? A morning star pattern. Now, this is a very popular pattern, once again, a very bullish pattern, a 3-bar pattern. All right, so let's see if strategy number 5 generated a buy signal. Click on strategy 5. Guess what? It did. So yes, that's a buy signal. All right. But remember, in order to take a candlestick combo setup, this unique method, the candlestick combo, we have to confirm it with the pet D. So we apply the pet D, and in order for us to take that, that bar needs to be colored green. It's okay if the bars before it are colored red, but we need that bar specifically to be colored green. So let's see what the pet D, our translator, is telling us. Nope. In fact, it's telling us we're in a downtrend, and most likely it's translating it wants to go lower. So therefore, you do not want to take this setup. And look what happened. You see how the pet D could have saved you from buying traditional candlestick methods? Now, on top of that, what do we have here? Strategy number 5, sell signal that potentially could have gained 115 points coming into a week or so ago in June. Let's look at that chart we started out with. That's the Russell 2000 ETF IAWM, okay? Remember, coming in on a weekly time frame, we were going up, and then we started to go down, and we said to ourselves, well, this is a bullish engulfing pattern, so we're going to be long the market because this is very positive. And then we applied the pet D, or we should say before we applied the pet D, it didn't work at all. Why? Because the pet D was telling us, don't buy this. Why? Because it's translating, it wants to go lower. Bar number 2, the engulfing pattern was outlined red. So you didn't want to take that trade. You would have saved yourself money. And guess what? Strategy number 5, sell signal, was generated right here 2 weeks later that you could have taken advantage of and made roughly 55 points potentially. If you missed that one, here was another one right here in April. And if you missed that one, there was another one just about 3 weeks ago starting in June. Do you see how we caught the down move? Not by trying to use worn, outdated traditional ways of trading candlesticks, but by using our candlestick combo. All right, let's look at Amazon. All right, this was in April, coming into May. What do we have here? Well, we have a buy signal generated by strategy number 5. Looks like a good one, right? In fact, it's working pretty well. It's going up so far. But if we see later on, it didn't work at all. And if we had held on, we would have had a loss. You think the pet D could have helped you? Because once you had that buy signal, even though it went up 3 bars later and you had a profit, you didn't want to be in this trade. Now, even though we have 1 green bar here, that's not enough. Remember we said in the beginning when we were talking about the pet D, you need 3 to 5 bars of the same color to tell you that you're in sync with the trend. So 1 green bar is not enough. So we wouldn't have taken that trade at all, and we would have saved a lot of money trying to buy Amazon or pick a bottom. Now, a lot of people say, well, Steve, this doesn't make any difference because news kind of, outweighs everything. And if you're on the wrong side of news, you're going to get killed. Well, that may be right. But it's been my experience that these tools and trading in sync with the pet D actually keep you in a trade well before the news comes out. For example, this was in April, middle of April, a couple of months ago. Netflix loses subscribers for the first time in 10 years. The shares of Netflix dropped 22% after it reported a net loss of 200,000 subscribers for its first quarter. So obviously, reading this, it's terrible news, right? And the stock most likely went down. As we see here on the next slide, this is when the news came out, all right? Now, this is a bullish engulfing pattern. Now, the news came out after the market closed. So if you had not known that and traded this traditionally, you would have said to yourself, hey, bullish engulfing pattern, I've got to buy here, right? And then the news comes out that night, and then look what happened, okay? Now, obviously, if you're trading candlesticks or any method traditionally that has no levels of consistency, sure, the news will take you out most of the time, because most of the time methods are out of sync with the news. But here's the beauty of the candlestick combo. If we had applied the pet D, we'd have known well in advance that all the bars were red. And why would we want to buy anything if the bars were red? Most especially this bullish engulfing pattern that's outlined red. So the pet D was warning us a full week or 2 in advance not to buy anything. These bars are red. I want to go lower. And on top of that, a sell signal was generated just 2 days before that news came out. Now, how did we know that? Well, once again, I always tell new students that news plays no part in any of our strategies at Specialist Trading. In fact, I personally stopped looking at news 4 decades ago. When I was first learning how to trade, I was taught the same things most likely you are. You've got to look at the earnings. You've got to look at the news of the company. You've got to look at the economic reports. You got to look at jobless claims and all that stuff. And I looked at all that for years, and it didn't make me a dime. Sure, every once in a while it would work perfectly, but the times it didn't work, I would give all the money back that I had just made using it. So there was no consistency. Remember, consistency is the name of the game, because consistency is what will sustain you. Not a good month or two, and then you give it all back, but a steady upward slope. And that's what we want in consistency. As you can see here, no one called us up from Netflix. The CEO didn't call us up and say, hey, listen, why don't you generate a sell signal? Because in 2 days, we're going to make a very negative announcement. So I'd like you to make some money. Okay. No one did that. So how did we know? Our translator, the market, along with a high probability strategy number 5, the candlestick combo, told us everything you need to know is right in front of you. The only trouble is we're trained usually to look away and look for answers somewhere else. The answer must be in the earnings, right? The answer must be in support and resistance. The answer has got to be in volume. The answer has got to be in some new strategy. I don't have any idea what it's based off. I don't know the rules because it's a black box, but I'll just buy and sell whatever it does, right? That's the way we're trained, to have someone or something else make our decisions for us. But once we start making our own trading decisions based off the chart in front of you, the only thing you should be listening to, that's when you start to become a consistent trader. All right, here's an example in REGN, Regeneron. All right, once again, a sell signal was generated and it's colored red. Perfect setup, 125 points coming into a couple of weeks ago in June. Now, let's look at some other markets and some other time frames. We know that not everyone just trades stocks. So let's look at another market here. Here's a 4-hour chart of the Australian dollar for all you currency pair traders here. Now, remember, in the beginning, I said our methods are extremely consistent. Now, consistency means an awareness that you will have losses from time to time, okay? It's perfectly normal. A consistent method, though, is one that's able to recoup those losses sooner than later. For example, this was a valid candlestick combo buy signal going back just a couple of weeks ago in the Australian dollar. We see here that the buy signal is generated and it's outlined green. So if you had purchased here the Australian dollar, well, after a couple of hours, or a couple of bars, I should say, maybe a day or so, you would have seen you don't have very much of a profit here. In fact, it looks like you're losing and you may want to get stopped out. But this is what we mean by consistency. You have to be alert, because on this red bar, another candlestick combo signal was generated. So this is what we mean by stop and reverse, that you've got to lick your wounds and say, okay, I'll take the loss and switch and reverse. We can't just sit and hold on and beg and hope that it's going to turn around and go our direction. If the market is telling us to switch, we've got to switch with it. So we sold our long position and we went short, and we took a loss of 20 pips. Not a huge loss, but depending on how many units you had, it could have been a large loss. But then we're short. You think you would have liked to have taken that sell signal, because potentially you could have captured 335 pips. At the very least, you could have made back, if you held on, made back what you lost in the first signal. This is what we mean by consistency. And if you miss those signals, look at all the chances the market gave you to get short again. Let's look at a 10-minute chart of Apple for all you intraday traders here, all right? You think the market was giving you signs on the 9th, this was just a couple of weeks ago, to short Apple? This is a 10-minute time frame. All the bars are red, that the signals are below, and look what happened. 15 points in the next 3 days, okay, if you're day trading. That's not a bad little trade there, intraday trading. Here's an example of Bitcoin, a daily chart. This is going back to April once again. You had a sell signal here, and depending on where you put your stop loss in, you're still in the trade. Maybe you got stopped out with a small loss, but all the bars are still red. Ultimately, it kicked in, and you could have potentially made close to 20,000 points to the downside. Now, if you didn't like to or don't like to short Bitcoin, you could have used that as an exit signal if you were long and saved yourself 20,000 points potentially. Or if you missed that, you could have gotten back in any one of these sell signals. Now, let's look at a weekly chart of the QQQs. That's the ETF that represents the NASDAQ index, okay? All right, we're looking at this chart here. Here is a weekly chart coming in from January into April. Kind of looks like a range market sideways. It goes up to this top, comes back down, goes back up. So most likely it's going to go back down, but we don't know. Or maybe we're looking for a breakout. Maybe we're waiting for the economic indicators to come out. We're going to go long. We don't know what's going on. But if we're trading with the translator, we actually do know what's going on. Click on the PET D, and we see here that the majority of the bars are colored or outlined red. Sure, we have 2 green, but that's not enough. You need 3 to 5 consecutively colored bars to tell you the trend. And so far, the majority of the bars are red. So actually, we're not in a range market. The PET D is translating that even though it may have bounced, it still wants to go lower. Now, once we apply strategy number 5, we see that there are 2 sell signals right here. And look what happened from April coming down into this last month here, 80 points to the downside. Now, if you're not sure how much that would have been in the Dow, that's comparable to 5,000 Dow Jones Industrial points to the downside. All right. How did we know the market was going to get killed like this? We didn't. The market told us. We don't care about earnings. We don't care about what's going on with inflation. I mean, it doesn't matter. The market will tell you. Trust me, I have traded markets that have terrible fundamental news and they've gone straight up. And I've traded markets that have had great, fantastic fundamental news that have gone straight down. That's why I stopped listening to news some 4 decades ago. And if I'm still here trading 4 decades later without ever listening to news, then there must be something to this, right? All right, so let's recap. Only buy and sell candlestick patterns that are in sync with the PET D. This is what we call our candlestick combo. So ask yourself, do you think our candlestick combo method can help your trading? Remember, we're halfway through the year now. You think going forward for the next half, it'll be able to improve your trading. If you're interested in becoming a student of mine in the candlestick combo course, we have a great special discount for all of you. And when I say a great discount, I really mean it. This is when Pro Trader Strategies told me the discount, I was really surprised at how low it is. Let me show you what we're offering here. Our candlestick combo special is obviously strategy number 5, along with the PET D. You'll get instant course access, detailed video instructions so that you know all the entries, all the exits, and all the stop placements. You get the entire course rules, but we're also going to throw in some bonuses. We're also going to throw in 4 different PET D trading techniques. These are separate from strategy number 5. These are techniques based solely on the PET D and the patterns they have. We're also going to give you add-ons. If you trade, let's say with TradeStation, Metastock, MT4, NinjaTrader, Thinkorswim, we'll give you the add-ons so that you can keep those platforms to trade with and see the up and down arrows and the PET D generated on those platforms. With Thinkorswim, there are a few small alterations, but our department, our setup department, or I should say tech support department, will help you set that up. They're amazing with that. Now you saw, in my opinion, the easiest way to apply the candlestick combo is with our platform, the PTS Primo charting platform, because everything is one click away. You don't have to open an indicator box like on TradeStation and struggle and look through all the indicators and find the PET D and then look for strategies and find strategy number 5. Everything is one click away on our platform. Now, I would recommend getting a full year of the platform. This normally costs close to $1,200. And we told you we had a great discount for you today. We're going to throw in a full year, a full 12 months of the platform, absolutely free. Okay. Now with our platform, you're not only getting strategy 5 along with the PET D, you'll get our proprietary buy sell line that tells you the overall trend. You get a nightly scanner. You can scan for signals on a nightly basis. Automatic exit levels. This is just one of the different methods to auto generate exit levels on our platform. A strength of trend tool will tell you if there's still strength or if the trend is running out of gas. And this all comes with personalized tech support and a host of, I would say, dozens more techniques and methods on our platform. I just don't have time to go into. These are things that you won't find anywhere else. They're just things that I've taken in my 45 years, mainly from the floor of the stock exchange, that you won't find on any other platform. Now, in my opinion, one of the best things we offer on our platform is our nightly scanner, because you can scan for PET D setups. You can also scan for strategy number 5 signals. For example, just last week, on a nightly scan, you could have scanned for buy signals using strategy number 5 and seen that there was a buy signal in SGEN. Excuse me. on the night of the 13th. So you would have said, okay, I could have done this scan 5 minutes before the close or after the close and said, okay, this is a buy signal, but I just want to make sure it's a candlestick combo signal. So you would apply the PET D, and guess what? Yes, it was, because it's outlined green. In fact, all the bars were green, even though we sold off here. So this was a high probability candlestick combo setup just last week. And look what happened after that. 35 points in just 4 days. Now, I go to webinars myself. I'll watch them from time to time to see what other so-called educators are touting. And they'll show signals like this, but I'll look at the date and it'll be maybe 4-6 months ago, or maybe even a year ago, okay? That's fine, but at specialist trading, I like to show you things that just happened recently, because I'm sincere about really telling you that this happens all the time. You're seeing these setups happening over and over again, as little as last week, okay? So had you taken this course last week, you could have taken advantage of this signal and potentially captured 35 points in just 4 days. Okay, so let's break it down. How much is this great offer we're extending to you today? Well, normally the PET D would cost close to $5,000. Strategy 5 would cost close to $700. And the platform, as we said earlier, would be close to $1,200. So if you purchased all of this separately on your own, it would cost you over $6,800 if sold separately. Here's what we're going to be doing for all the attendees today. We're going to have a one-time fee of $497. Okay, that's it. All you have to come up with is a one-time fee of $497 and then just $97 per month. This is such a great, inexpensive offer, so much less than $6,800. This is only going to be offered for a limited time only, most likely by the weekend, and then that'll be it, okay? So this is a great discount. I told you it was fantastic, because if you bought these separately and saw a webinar and said, hey, I want to take advantage of this, but the offer had already ended, you'd have to spend $68.55. But for a limited time only, you just have to come up with $497 and then just $97 per month, okay? Now, if you'd like to purchase both courses with no lease, in other words, PET D along with Candlestick Strategy number 5, and you don't want to have the $97 per month, we're still discounting it down to $29.95. We're going to waive the first year, okay? So this is fantastic. The $29.95 is a really great offer. So that's still discounted down from $6,800. A year from today, you will have wished you became a member of the Candlestick Combo course. Why do we say this so many times? Because students will tell us. They'll become students of mine in the course and they say, I wish I had done this a year ago. You know, I'm finally starting to become a consistent trader, and I wish I had taken advantage of your offer months ago. Okay, remember, that's 12 months of the PTS Primo charting platform free. You can get this great offer of $497, a one-time fee, and then $97 per month. If you just want to buy it outright, well, that's a 1-year annual fee is waived, and it's only $29.95. Here's how to take advantage of this. Contact Pro Trader Strategies. They're my sister site. They're in charge of all the discounts. They're in charge of all the courses and all the tech support. I would recommend highly calling them at area code 310-598-6677. Okay, they have trading consultants manning the phones right now. They would be more than happy to answer any of your questions. You don't have to purchase anything. They would be happy to just give you a quote if you're interested in this or something else. But remember, this is a limited time offer. So please, if you're interested, you know, maybe watch this video. You'll be getting it later on today, but don't sit on it. Take advantage of this offer before it goes back up over to $6,800. Okay. Now that link you see at the very bottom will take you to the info as well as the sign up page. It's not a live link, but we've just posted a live link in the chat box. So if you open up your chat box, you look at the bottom there, there's a live link that's highlighted. Click that on, and we'll take you to the sign up page if you'd like to sign up there. Okay. Now, as I stated, I will answer your questions right now. If you have any, just go to the chat box, write them in, and I promise I'll answer them to the best of my ability. I see we have a question. Is the PET D a black box? Yes, it is. We're keeping the formula in-house, but that's mainly to keep you away from all the work you have to do. Trust me, it is such a complicated formula. I used to do this on a hand calculator when I was on the floor of the exchange, that it's just too difficult to do on your own. So with the help of high-speed computers and with programmers, what we've done is we've taken all the hard work out of it for you and made it into a color bar algorithm. Now, the beauty of the PET D is not in knowing the formula. The beauty of the Pet D is knowing and how to apply it correctly. Okay, I can't tell you how many traders think they have figured out the formula to the Pet D that I've seen online in different chat rooms, and they're all wrong. They're all incorrect. They're all thinking it's based off moving averages or some high-low type of indicator. Basically, they're all wrong, but it wouldn't matter. I can almost guarantee if I gave out for free the rules or the formula behind the Pet D, most of the people using it would still lose money, because the secret is in knowing how to use it. And that's what we're providing you. That's what our service is. You're being taught how to use the Pet D from someone who's been applying it to his own personal trading for the last 45 years. So that's the service we provide, and that's what you want to learn, how to properly use and identify setups with the Pet D. So that for that reason alone, we are using it. Is this applicable to S&P futures? Yes, it is. I've often stated that my market of choice are the S&P futures. I trade the E-mini, and I use the Pet D. In fact, I was using it today. I had some very nice trades using the Pet D today. Was candlestick combo strategy number 5 this morning to the upside. Had some really nice trades. Now, I don't know what the market's doing now. When I left, it had started to falter a little bit. So if that had happened on an intraday trading with the E-mini, it would have generated sell signals. But it all depends on what the market's doing. But to make a long story short, yes, the Pet D can be applied to any market, any time frame, as well as the candlestick combo. Works intraday. As I just stated, I trade this intraday. So it doesn't matter what time frame, as we stated in the we had the slides on the presentation today. Strategy number 5 and the Pet D can be applied to any market, any time frame. That's the beauty of this. Okay. Now remember, we stated in the very beginning, this is an extremely consistent candlestick combo method. But remember, consistency does not mean that everything works 100%. Nothing in trading. I've been trading 45 years. I know some amazing traders that don't always have winners. They have losers from time to time. That is perfectly admissible. But you want a consistent method that's able to recoup those losses, the way I showed with the Australian dollar. And that's what the candlestick combo is. It's extremely consistent. So there is an awareness of losses, but there's also an awareness that you will be able to recoup those losses, okay? Just want to make sure everyone understands that. We get so many new students that say, I don't want to lose money, so I want to trade the Pet D. Well, there's nothing that doesn't lose money. I've had losing trades to start off the beginning of the day, and by the end of the day, I have a winning day. It's because that's just the way things are, okay? Think of any athlete. Not every athlete hits a home run. Not every athlete even hits a single. Not every athlete makes a basket. Not every athlete scores a goal. But it doesn't mean they're not top performing athletes, all right? Because over time they do. It's about consistency. Same thing with actors and actresses. They don't have a hit movie every time, but the ones that have longevity are the ones that respond back right after they had a losing endeavor back with a winning one. That's the same way with the candlestick combo. Okay. And remember, if you have questions concerning tech support, anything concerning data, contact ProTrader Strategies, because they're in charge of all the tech support with the platform. They're in charge of all that, and they can answer that much more better than I can. So they have trading consultants manning the phones right now. They would be happy to answer tech support questions, data feed questions, platform questions as of such. Anything with trading is my realm, and I answer all of those questions. Now, one last thing, I see someone is asking, how can we contact me if we become a student? Every student gets my personal email address. So you will be able to email me whenever you'd like. I was answering emails today. I have a large list of emails. I'm sorry, the more emails I have, the longer it takes for me to get back to you, but usually it takes about a day or two, okay? But please remember, I personally answer everything. They don't go to an intern or to a sales assistant. They come directly to me, okay? So any questions you have, I'll be there to answer them. Or you can show me work and have me critique it to see if you're in sync with the rules, all right? So we're there with you every step of the way. I stated at the beginning that we are first and foremost an educational company. That's where all of our strength goes into, really trying to educate you, because it's our goal to make you a consistent trader, okay? My goal is to teach you how to trade, not to trade for you. So that's what we provide. We give you all this information, give you different variables for entry, different variables for exits, different variables for stop placement, and then work with you so that you can decide and you can feel comfortable. In my 45 years of trading, once again, the only traders that are still trading, the only ones that are consistent are the ones that make their own trading decisions. So this is our goal, to instill you with that information so that you can make those decisions easily, okay? Okay, if there are no further questions, we're just about out of time. I want to thank you for taking time out of your Wednesday. I hope you saw the attention to detail in educating you, and that we really want to take your trading to the next level. So as we take one last look at our disclaimer, thank you once again for joining me today. I hope you learned something, but most especially, I look forward to you all becoming students of mine in the Candlestick Combo course. Thank you so much for attending. I wish you the best of luck in trading and hope to see you in the course. Bye-bye.